Have you ever wondered why a deep voice is often associated with power and authority? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? It seems like everywhere we turn, from movie villains to world leaders, a resonant, deep voice is often a common thread. This is no coincidence. Our societal perceptions and psychological reactions to deep voices run deep, no pun intended. So, what's the science behind this? Why does a deep voice command attention and respect? Today we delve into the science behind the power of a deep voice. To understand the impact of a deep voice, we need to explore the science of sound. Sound is essentially a type of energy that travels in waves. These waves, known as sound waves, are produced when an object vibrates and displaces the air or medium around it. The vibrations cause the particles in the medium to oscillate back and forth, creating compression and rarefaction waves that travel through the medium. Now, when it comes to the human voice, it's all about pitch and frequency. You see, pitch is what we perceive as the highness or lowness of a sound. It's determined by the frequency of the sound wave. In simple terms, frequency is the number of complete wave cycles per second. When frequency is high, we hear a high-pitched sound. When it's low, we hear a low-pitched or deep sound. The human vocal cords vibrate to produce voice. The faster the vocal cords vibrate, the higher the pitch of the sound, and vice versa. This is why children, who have smaller and lighter vocal cords, typically have higher pitched voices, whereas adults with larger and heavier vocal cords have lower pitched voices. But how does all this relate to the perception of voices? Well, it's fascinating. Studies have shown that we tend to associate lower pitched voices with authority, strength, and trustworthiness. It's a psychological effect that can be traced back to our evolutionary history. In the wild, larger animals, which are often more powerful, tend to produce lower pitched sounds. This primal association between low pitch and power has carried over into our perception of human voices. So when you hear a deep voice, your brain is making subconscious associations with strength and authority. It's not just about the voice itself, but also the frequency and pitch of the sound that voice produces. Each of these elements plays a role in how we perceive and react to what we hear. When we hear a voice, its pitch and frequency can significantly influence our perception. So, the next time you listen to someone speak, consider not just what they're saying, but also how they're saying it. The science of sound tells us that it can make quite a difference. So, how does a deep voice translate into perceived power? This is a question that has fascinated scientists, psychologists, and voice coaches for years. The answer lies in a combination of physiology, psychology, and the social constructs we've created around voice and authority. Let's begin with the physiological aspect. Testosterone, the hormone that deepens the voice during puberty, is often associated with power and dominance. When an individual has a deep voice, it signifies a high level of testosterone, which in turn is associated with strength and virility. The perception, therefore, is that an individual with a deeper voice is stronger, more dominant, and ultimately more powerful. Next, let's consider the psychological angle. Deep voices are perceived as coming from larger bodies. It's an instinctual response. Our brains associate deep, resonant sounds with large objects. Therefore, when we hear a deep voice, our subconscious mind imagines a larger, more imposing figure. This perceived size tends to command respect and authority. Now, onto the social constructs. Throughout history, deep voices have been associated with authority figures, leaders, and people of influence. From the commanding voices of ancient tribal chiefs to the resonant tones of today's world leaders and celebrities, a deep voice has become synonymous with power and authority. Furthermore, research has found that people with deeper voices are more likely to be successful in certain fields. A study published in the Journal of Voice found that CEOs with deeper voices manage larger companies, make more money, and have a longer tenure. This reinforces the societal belief that deep voices are a sign of power and success. This perception is not limited to the business world. In politics, for example, voters are more likely to choose candidates with deeper voices, associating them with strength and competency. Deep voices, therefore, command attention and respect, often being perceived as more authoritative. The power of a deep voice is not just about the sound itself, but also about the complex interplay of physiological, psychological, and social factors that shape our perception of authority and power. But how does this play out in real life? Well, let's delve into some examples that illustrate the use and influence of deep voices across different sectors. In politics, a deep voice can subtly sway public opinion. History is replete with leaders who have used their deep, resonant voices to command attention and respect. From Winston Churchill to Barack Obama, these leaders have leveraged the power of their voices to convey authority and charisma, often leading to increased trust and influence. In the business world, a deep voice can be equally impactful. Many successful entrepreneurs and executives have deep, commanding voices that exude confidence and leadership. Think of the late Steve Jobs, whose voice was not just deep, but also calm and controlled, adding to his aura of innovative genius. A deep voice in business can help to negotiate better deals, motivate teams, and inspire confidence in stakeholders. The media industry, too, understands the power of a deep voice. Whether it's the velvety tones of a late-night radio host, the authoritative boom of a news anchor, or the captivating narration of a documentary, a deep voice draws in listeners and viewers, holding their attention and stirring their emotions. The legendary actor Morgan Freeman is a classic example. His deep, soothing voice has become his signature, making him a sought-after narrator in the industry. What we're seeing is that a deep voice is more than just a physical attribute. It can be a strategic asset, a tool for persuasion, and a vehicle for influence. It's about the subconscious signals that a deep voice sends, signals of authority, strength, and trustworthiness. So whether you're addressing a crowd, leading a meeting, or simply having a one-on-one conversation, a deep voice can help to enhance your presence, sway opinions, and create a lasting impression. Clearly, a deep voice can be a powerful tool in many aspects of life. So, how can one harness the power of a deep voice? Well, the journey to a deeper voice isn't as elusive as one might think. It's about understanding the mechanics of your voice and consistently applying a few key techniques. Let's start with breathing. Proper breathing is the foundation of a deep, resonant voice. It's all about using your diaphragm, that large muscle located just below your lungs. When you breathe in, your diaphragm should move downward, expanding your stomach. As you breathe out, your diaphragm moves upward, contracting your stomach. This diaphragmatic breathing technique provides the air support necessary for a deep, full voice. Next up, let's talk about resonance. Resonance is the vibratory quality of your voice, and it's determined by the size and shape of your vocal tract. To increase resonance, try yawning. Yes, you heard it right, yawning. Yawning opens up your vocal tract, which allows your voice to resonate more deeply. Now let's move on to vocal exercises. These are like the gym workouts for your voice. One effective exercise is the lip trill. To do this, simply vibrate your lips together without making a sound, kind of like a horse. This helps to relax your vocal cords and deepen your voice. Another exercise is the pitch slide. Start by making a mmm sound at your normal pitch. Then slowly slide down to the lowest pitch you can comfortably reach. This stretches your vocal cords, allowing them to produce lower pitches. Remember, the key to harnessing the power of a deep voice lies in practice and consistency. These techniques are not a one-time magic trick. They require time and dedication. Just like learning to play an instrument or mastering a new skill, developing a deeper voice is a journey. Don't be discouraged if you don't notice immediate changes. Your voice is unique to you, and it will take time to uncover its full potential. With practice and patience, anyone can learn to tap into the power of a deep voice. Let's recap what we've learned today. We dove into the intriguing world of deep voices, understanding the science of sound and how it impacts our perception. We discovered that a deep voice is often associated with power, authority, and confidence. In practice, it can be a remarkable tool for persuasion, negotiation, and leadership. Finally, we explored techniques to harness the power of a deep